Residential cruising on the Villa Vie Odyssey has given us the opportunity to travel much more than we ever have before. But what we're also finding is that we're experiencing things in a new way. We're seeing things in a different way than we ever have before.
And that really came up on a recent journey. Right outside this window is the Atlantic Ocean. How cool is that? And we recently completed a crossing through the Panama Canal. Now, we have done the Panama Canal before and we enjoyed it, but this time we had a totally different experience because we were doing it as residential cruisers versus commercial cruisers.
There was a lot of anticipation and excitement building up to the time when we would transit the canal. And this actually started like really, really early. I think it started all the way back when we were in Jamaica, if you can believe it, because that's when they started stocking the ship with all these great big boxes of food.
There was stuff everywhere. So literally, I'm talking about hours of people moving all of this stuff on the ship, pallets of food and fruits and liquor and all this other stuff that was coming on board. So you could really tell we were getting prepared for something special.
Yeah, they were clearly stocking up for the next big segment of our cruise. And what it felt like to us, at least to me, you remember when you were a kid and your parents would go shopping and they would come back with all this food and they started stocking the fridge and you were like, oh my God, that's for me. I'm so excited.
Food here.
I think that's what it felt like.
And our balcony was overlooking it directly. So we were kind of peering down there, seeing it all in action. So that was the first part. And then in Cologne, we started seeing all these ships everywhere. There were ships teed up everywhere in the waters for, of course, the Panama crossing. The crossing Coast Guard Authority for the Panama Canal came in. So we had a lot of activity that really indicated we were getting ready to go do something big. Check it out.
We were in the gym and then we realized that we were pulling up to the Cologne port and headed to the Panama Canal. And we looked outside and it looked so impressive with all these ships.
It's crazy how many ships are out here and like thousands and thousands of containers. Obviously here for all the reasons you would imagine for the Panama Canal. So it is a really neat experience to see. We came out here, we checked it out, and we're going to give you a little video of it now.
One of our first travel experiences together was taking a cruise that actually transited the Panama Canal several years ago, early in our relationship. Now, we do remember that we thought it was a cool experience, but for some reason, it really didn't have a strong impact on us. And we've been trying to talk together and figure out why this time it's been so different.
I think the main thing is we're on a residential cruise now, and we'll get to that in a few minutes, but that's what really changed it for us. Let's get now to the crossing itself.
The next day wasn't just a single event. It took all day long. We're talking about that the transit took from morning to night. We had no idea that it would take that long, and the first time we experienced the transit, our memory was that it was just a single event and just took a few minutes. And obviously that was very wrong. So we started out really early in the morning. We had breakfast and we were joined by our friends Don and Doris, which was great. Now, Don is an expert in the canal, which was great. So he had all kinds of great facts for us. And so that was terrific to see it through his eyes.
It really was. It was a lot of fun experiencing this with them. And we had a great time. And then, of course, he was all over it. So at 7:45 a.m., he pulled us up and said, hey, guys, come over this way. We were crossing under the Atlantic Bridge, which was amazing. Check it out.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, All I need are some better days. I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just keep buying everything. See you in the next life, have to be a better me. I don't think that my head's on straight. Gotta flip it and grip it and go and get an x-ray. What's wrong with me? I just feel weight pushing on my chest and it squeezes till I suffocate. Better change my mindset, meditate. It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life every day.
So it's Panama Canal Day and we're so excited. As you can see, I haven't been up long. I'm sure it shows. I've had 1 cup of coffee, but we had to get up early because we're in the Panama Canal right now. As you can see probably behind me, we've already passed under the bridge, which is absolutely gorgeous while we had breakfast. And now we've got a lecturer on board. We're gonna hear stories from experts about all the stories about the canal. We're gonna be here for hours. So we're going to dedicate the day to this and we're really excited. We've done this a couple of times before, but for whatever reason, those times it wasn't as a big deal to us because it was more part of the transit than it was part of the experience. I think today, because we're really going to get some expertise around this, we've got this great day and the time of day we're doing it here throughout a beautiful day. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're really looking forward to sharing it with you and soaking it up today.
What happened next was really fun to watch. So the ship approached the first lock, and it was at this time that all the residents started gathering around to see the transit happen. Okay. And this was before the next influx of new residents came onto the ship. So there was plenty of room for us to kind of jockey position and get a good look at what was happening.
It was really cool. And then as you approach, you see these folks called lock keepers. They're these men and women that are working along the sides, and they essentially control everything that happens as we go through the lock. You see them throwing lines from the side onto the ship and then connecting those. There is all of these operations and communications that go back and forth, and essentially it's their job, like it has been for over 100 years, to take this very wide ship, putting it through this very tight canal. It was really cool to see.
And along with the lock keepers, there are these train-like tracks all along the side of the canal, right? And on these tracks, there are these electric engines. And the ropes are being tied to these electric engines. And these engines are called mules. And they help guide the ship throughout the process as it goes through each of the locks.
It's really intriguing. Passing through the lock right now, and you can see this is really intriguing. They've been doing this for 100 and something years, and along the sides you can see the mules that are actually attached to the ship. The ship's on its own power, but they actually guide it through here because it's so tight with these mules. They've been doing it this way for 100 and something years. You can also see ahead the higher level of the water as they take us in and out of the locks and raise us, ultimately in this case to the lake at the end. This is a really interesting experience. We've done this a couple of times before, but we've never had this perspective on it. So it's a really cool thing to see today.
Next, the lock gates open and the ship carefully enters into this chamber. Now, at the same time, on the other side of the canal, there are these other ships who are coming from the opposite direction towards us. Now, some of these ships are absolutely ginormous.
Gigantic, yeah.
It is amazing that they're able to fit into the canal. Now, it's at this point that the gates close behind us, sealing us into the chamber.
Okay, and once we're sealed in that chamber, they start flooding that chamber with millions of gallons of water. Of course, it's huge. And of course, as the water level rises, the ship rises with it, just about to the point where you're even with what's coming next. It's like stair steps going up. So you're in this lock and they've raised you through all of this water to where you're going. At that point, the gates on the far end open and you go straight through the lock at the new water level.
Yeah, and the ship just continues through this journey, repeating this process a few times as it goes through several different locks. So check out the video.
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to fire. No more walking through revolving doors. I've gone around once, and I don't need to go around anymore. Break away, forget your sober case. Stop dwelling on empty words. Stop stalling in the doorway and cancel the cruise control. Switch it in the manual. Don't you wanna feel right?
We made it through the first lock, and it was an absolutely fascinating experience. We loved every moment of it.
We truly did. This thing is really an engineering marvel, even though it's been going on for over 100 years. As you see these ships come and go, and you see what's involved, it's relatively simple, but it is clearly not easy. We have loved every minute of it, and it's really something to see when you're down here.
After the first set of locks on the Atlantic side, you enter this giant lake that's in the middle of Panama. And now this is not until like lunchtime. So we're at lunch looking outside of the window and just kind of watching the scenery of this beautiful lake go by. And then later on in the afternoon, we go to our balcony and we continue to watch the scenery along the lake.
So after you've spent time in this lake, of course, you go toward the Pacific. So there is the additional locks, like we described a while ago, and we go through those. And then, that process is pretty much the same as we already talked about. But then we're actually at dinner, and, the announcer comes on and says, hey, we are officially now in the Pacific Ocean. And of course, all the way through that process in the afternoon, not only are we going through that lock process, but there's a lecturer on board telling us stories and facts and that kind of stuff. So you really get a very enriching experience between the Atlantic lock, the lake, all the stories, and the whole day is just filled with this great thing. And then you're at dinner and you're having a champagne toast that we're officially arrived in the Pacific. Very cool.
One of the things that stuck with us is how much of a remarkable engineering feat the Panama Canal truly is. It really was incredible to see this thing and to really learn about it and to understand how complex and just perfectly engineered it was. And it certainly has had a huge impact on the world. But even beyond that, it was really cool to see that the Panama Canal exists within this really stunning natural beauty. I mean, with the rainforest around it and the lakes. That was really a beautiful thing to see.
It really was. So you're getting all of the beauty of Panama and this really cool view of it, along with all the history and everything that we know goes into the Panama Canal, and we loved it. And I think this time, because we were on a residential cruise ship, we had a very different experience. The last time we went, we were on a huge ship with thousands of people, and it was a lot. And we didn't really have the experience in terms of the crowd size, the ship size, but also just our perspective on it. We were on this ship with new friends and this sense of community, and of course we really felt like it was our home kind of going through this thing. So it gave us a whole different experience, and one that I believe really resonated with almost everybody on the ship. We really talked to a lot of people that agreed. So now we're on the Pacific side. We're super excited about that. There's many more ports to come, so we hope you will subscribe. We hope you'll give us comments about what you do and don't like. We love your comments, all of them, and we will see you in South America very soon. Bye.